and I'm just going to send you, sorry, I did not know that that was going to happen.
Yeah, I just know the person who sets it up is the only one that can record, but so it'll probably be Lisa.
Yeah, it just says recording unavailable. You're not allowed to record this video call. Weird. And I read your message and I was like, oh, okay, that must work fine. So I apologize about that.
You really got my dad in that.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and start with introductions.
I hope you're okay with that, Dad.
I'm fine.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, Miss Craft is going to record this and then share it with Mom since she couldn't be here today. I'm Mrs. Sharp. I'm the school psychologist. I'll be taking notes during the meeting. And Dad, I think you know Miss Gray, school social worker, and Miss Pelker is the art teacher. And you know Miss Craft, Clara's case manager and teacher. Great. So the purpose of today's meeting is to just go over Clara's progress so far this year and share any updates or changes with goals, accommodations, basically just anything we need to talk about today to update her plan. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Kraft, and I'm sorry, Ms. Pelker's going to go ahead and share feedback first, and then if it's okay with you, Dad, we'll excuse her from the meeting.
Oh, sounds good.
All right. Okay, so I have Clara, 5th hour for Intro to Graphic Arts. Some great things about Clara is she's on time. She always says hi, which is great. It's always nice to see her. And her attendance is pretty good, which is an important thing for art. Some things that we need to work on is that a lot of times Clara wants to do her own thing in class, which usually involves painting, which we will get to, but for the assignments, Clara works for about 5 to 10 minutes on what we are working on, and then unfortunately wants to kind of do her own thing. We will get to painting this semester, but I know that she enjoys that, but we do need to do a better job of staying on task. She also mentioned to Miss Bellini, who is the para, that she didn't want to be in art, so I'm not sure if Clara wants to talk about what her class assignment or what her elective is going to be next year, but just to know that you do have that choice, Clara, to kind of hopefully pick the class that you want to be in. And then just a few things that I've witnessed, with Miss Bellini as well, that Clara can be a little bit argumentative when it comes to some of the assignments or wanting to stay on task in class. And Miss B works really hard to keep her on task and doing the assignment. So she currently has a 76 in class. Which isn't bad. That's a C. She can easily get that up to a B if we get back on track for the rest of the semester. But yeah, like I said, it's always great to see Clara. She says hi, and I always enjoy that when students come over or acknowledge the teacher. So that's good. But yeah, any questions about that or anything?
No, I don't have any questions on that, but that was Clara was given a list of the electives, and we went over those. Though she was pretty adamant about wanting to take the art class. So
that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, we have other options in the art department as well. I mean, it seems that she enjoys painting, but we also have to follow the assignment and not just do our own thing, kind of in our class. Yeah.
And I think for next year she did not. This was for going into this school year. I think you're saying that she chose art for this year, but next year she has chosen culinary.
Okay.
So, correct? I'm going to try cooking with, yep. So,
And driver's ed.
Yes. So we're going to try a couple other options, I think, for next year. So.
All right. Good to know.
All right.
Great. Do you have any questions for Ms. Pelker before we excuse her?
I don't think so. We'll talk to Clara about staying on task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
And being argumentative. She does it at home sometimes too, usually around that time.
Okay. Yeah. No more arguments with Mrs. B.
All right.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Thanks, Ms. Pelker.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
And then I'll turn it over to Ms. Kraft and Ms. Gray to share progress.
All right. I'll start with present levels and how she's doing this year in class. So for reading,
Sorry
sorry
to interrupt. Would you mind if I
actually we're shorthanded today, and I've got a student that came
Absolutely.
in 7th hour that I might need to pop out a little early.
Yep.
So I apologize for that.
No problem. That's
I
absolutely
think
fine.
at the end of the day, it's really tough for the counseling office. Go ahead.
Plus, I'm just so excited to share about Clara that I just can't possibly wait any longer. So Clara is part of our social skills group, and I co-lead that as the social worker with our speech pathologist, Mrs. Sutter. And I think Clara enjoys coming to group. She has friends in group, but similar to Miss Pelker, she would prefer sometimes to be doing her own thing, or she would like to be socializing with other kids in group. But she, for us, accepts redirection very well. And part of it is she's such a people pleaser, right? We know that about her, and she wants to please. She wants everybody to be getting along and wants everybody to be happy with her. So that's kind of an advantage when we need to get her attention, that she doesn't like for people to be disappointed in her or anything like that. So I think that helps. And she can benefit from a lot of the topics that we talk about. We talk a lot about social communication, social decision making, and even kind of, safety things. Like we had a whole group on online safety and, who are your friends and what does that mean, and the difference between a friend and an acquaintance and a stranger. And lately we've been talking about kind of making friends and personal boundaries and things like that. So I think she can benefit from a lot of those things. She does benefit from redirection during her group. She gets off task either with wanting to have kind of some coloring things out during group or just wanting to kind of socialize with somebody next to her. But for the most part, she does a really good job. The thing that always surprises me and that we're working on specifically in group with Clara is she is really outgoing and talkative and great during unstructured time in group. And she will come in and talk with me, and she'll talk with people in the counseling office. And so I see all those positive things. But then when we call on her during group to kind of share her thoughts or give an example or an opinion, she gets really quiet and shy, and then doesn't always want to share. And I know she has good information to share because she does it informally. So we're trying to get her more comfortable, and so we've been kind of prompting her a little bit more to feel more confident in sharing her opinions and thoughts when we are talking about those specific topics. So that's really all I have. I think she's appropriately placed in group. I think it's a really good thing for her. I know, I talked with her a little bit a couple weeks ago about some of the stuff going on in the cafeteria before school. And I'm glad that she and I have that relationship in group, so that if there are little one-off things that come up, that at least she and, I can be a resource to her in other ways too. But she is awesome. She's a delight to have in group. My goal really for the second part of this year is getting her to share more, more specific feedback about the topics that we're talking about, because I think she does have a lot of good insight to share. Any questions for me, Dad, or anything?
No, we just, we had her go through some testing at the HSED place here in Fairview, and no, they said she would benefit greatly from the groups, and we're looking into some things outside of school too that might help. So I'm glad she's still doing it there, and I know what you're talking about. Sometimes you can't get her to stop talking, and other times she clams up and doesn't want to say anything. I'm not sure what exactly triggers that. But.
Well, and from my observations in group, she likes to. It's kind of like art. Like when Miss Pelker was talking, I wasn't surprised by what she started off, because I think Clara loves art, but she wants to do the art that she wants to do. She doesn't want to do the more structured, like learning of, art and art concepts. And I see that in group too. She loves to socialize. She loves to be around people. But when she's asked to respond to something that's not on her agenda, or she's kind of being pushed to, maybe think about something in a different way, she maybe lacks some confidence sometimes with that, or it may just not be what she wants to talk about. The topic that we've chosen may not be on her agenda item, for group that day. So I think that's what I see is the difference, that she's a little more resistant when it's on your terms versus, if we just have free talk, like sometimes at the beginning of group, we'll just let them talk about, what they did over the weekend, or, something exciting that happened recently that they want to share. She is all over that and has lots to share. Right, Clara?
Yeah.
But if we're kind of talking about a specific subject and I say, can you give an example of that where you had an experience like that? She kind of look at me or look at a neighbor and may not want to share. But I feel like now she's a sophomore. She knows us a little bit better. I'm going to be pushing her a little bit more, and raising those expectations on her a little bit. And I feel like I can do that now because we have a better relationship. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
I appreciate it. I'm going to pop off, guys. Thanks. And Clara, I'll see you next Wednesday in group, okay? All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. So I'll jump back into just academics. What we're seeing is that she scored in the first percentile. Just wait till the end, okay? Wait till the end. Okay. She scored in the first percentile on reading, and she scored in the first percentile on math on the STAR reading test. Those scores have stayed consistent for her, and I say this about a lot of my students, but I feel like she volunteers to read in class sometimes, and her reading appears better than that to me. But that's what they're testing. So, and they're kind of consistently testing at that. So she will volunteer to read. She answers a lot of questions in class. I will say this year she has improved so much from last year in the fact that she's so much more on task and focused in class from my perspective. So last year I felt like she really wasn't paying attention a lot of the time. And this year she chooses to sit up front. She's shaking her head yes. She's responding in class as we're doing things. So I think her attention in class has improved a lot this year. Maybe it's maturity. I don't know, but it's that has definitely gotten better. So, and as everyone else has mentioned, I see the same things. If I call on her, she freezes up, doesn't want to answer, gets very anxious, nervous.
Sometimes I'll just answer.
Yep. But if it's someone else's turn to answer, she's raising her hand, knowing the answer, sometimes blurting out the answer. So I know she knows it.
Not the answer all the time. And
Yes.
when we're in reading or civics, Hunter will just instantly just shout out the whole answer, and Misty will just say, Hunter, don't shout out the answer.
Yeah, we're working on it with a lot of the students, but she knows the answers. It's just I think she feels like when I call on her, everybody's eyes turn to her, and I think that just freezes her up. Even though she already has the answer right here, I think that just makes her very anxious and nervous. And then getting up in front of the class, we've done presentations and things like that in class, and that's really tough. She really gets nervous.
Very hard for me.
Gets very talkative, but not talking about the presentation. She gets very talkative and I don't know, is he looking at me? And then she'll giggle and then she'll laugh, and you can just tell it's a total, almost like a different personality when she gets up in front of the class with nervousness. But she will eventually do that too. After talking to her and stuff, she will eventually do that. But I think it's more of almost an anxiety thing when she gets called on like that. But she does love to participate.
I was diagnosed with, so.
A little bit, yeah. Yep. So that
and ADHD.
Yep.
So,
and then I did, read over the whole report that you sent, and it's, very similar to what we see here. But we feel also that she's very appropriately placed program-wise. She's receiving the social skills group. Academically, she's right on level with everybody in the program. She has a lot of friends. I mean, she really does enjoy her friends, and she enjoys socializing with them and talking to them, and seems really happy most of the time to be with them and to be in class and to be in school. So those are all really positive things, I think, we see from her this year. So you like your friends okay? Everything going well with them? Yeah, so I think that's all definitely positive. She currently has an A in reading, and she has an A in math, and a B in civics, a C in art, and then a C in first hour. That's HRC, Human Relations and Communications.
Wait, what?
First hour
What did I get on?
some of the assignments in HRC. So first
Is that-
hour in HRC, we
is
do
that a
journal.
Is that good?
No, we're going to get that up, right? You'll
No,
get
but
that
is
up.
it good?
It's okay, but you can do better
Because
than that.
now it's making me worried a little bit.
Is it? Yeah, so we're going to get that up because you can do better than that, right? So we do a journal a couple times a week, and we literally go over it together, like what could potentially be your 3 sentences, and I put some ideas on the board, spell things on the board, and she just hasn't been, when she comes in first thing in the morning, I think the busing in the morning will help, but previously when she would come in, after she had been sitting in the cafeteria with whatever was going on up there, she would come in almost flustered, and it would take her first 20 minutes of class to kind of get on task, get refocused, all that stuff. So I'm hoping that the bus will help that morning transition go really well, because it's been going well this week. I'm hoping it's going okay for you guys.
Yeah, it's going all right.
Okay, but I think that will definitely help, that she won't have that. I mean, if you could see a high school cafeteria in the morning
Right.
before school starts, I can't even explain it to you. It is, I mean, there's lots of supervision, but every kid in the school goes there until they can walk in the halls at 8:15. And so it's loud and a lot of people and a lot going on. And so I think she would go up there in the mornings, and then when she would come to first hour, I think she just took, half an hour to regroup. And so I think that's maybe why she's not doing so well in that first hour class with me. But I think we'll see that grade go up pretty quick now that she's coming in much calmer off the bus, just much more ready to go. So that's good. And then anything else? She mentioned that she'd like to work at a police station. I don't know if she's ever mentioned that to you guys before, but that was her most recent
I was going to
interest.
say it's been EMT for a long time.
Okay. So obviously she likes that concept, and that. You still like that, Clara? Do you know what an EMT does? That's emergency. You like emergency situations, helping people? Yeah. She definitely likes to help people. Yeah, which we've seen.
Which on your and you put peers.
Mm-hmm.
Which stands for what?
Peers are other students and your friends.
Oh.
Yeah, you like to help your peers, right? Yeah. All right.
Sometimes.
So we'll keep her doing the same thing. I know I reached out just about what she'd like to do next year. She will have all juniors have to take U.S. history. She'll have that next year. She will have
I don't think I
science.
US history at all.
Yep, this will be your first time with U.S. history.
I
Here.
didn't even pick it though.
Everybody has to take it. I know
Wait,
you.
what
I
is
know
it
you wouldn't
again?
pick it.
What is
U.S.
it?
history.
What is
So
it?
like you took civics this year. You're
Yeah.
taking civics this year. U.S. history's kind of like that. You took geography freshman year. So U.S. history is just kind of the next one. We talk about the history of the United States. We'll see. And then she'll be in math, science, and then because as she goes on, she gets to choose a few more electives. We had mentioned she chose driver's ed to try, which splits the semester with PE, and then culinary for the cooking section. So, and I also just want to, I mentioned this in the email, but for driver's education, there is that, which you've probably experienced this with Max, but there's the permit test within the first week or so of class. And then if they don't pass that, they're typically dropped from the class, and then we find they go usually to PE that entire year instead of semester PE, semester driver's ed. So we just like to tell everybody that she'll have an aide in there with her. The aide will be able to read the test to her, but as soon as she gets that rules of the road book, like the first day of class, or if you have one at home already, you probably want to just start reviewing all those signs and everything like that right away.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. It is me
You can see,
personally.
like,
I'm not sure if she's ready for driver's ed yet.
Has
Yeah.
like a car on it.
I know Kim has been really wanting her to take it.
Yeah.
That's his work.
But yeah,
I've been taking that
we'll
so
see
many
on that.
times, like,
Right.
Snacks
Yeah, and that's what
everything.
we say from our perspective is we say if they do pass that test, that's kind of our cue, like, okay, then we'll really work with them to keep going in the class. And if they don't pass the test, then we really do let them get dropped from the class and brought back, and we say they're probably not ready.
Right.
It's kind of our thing, like we read the test to them, that's the one accommodation they get, but we don't give a lot of hints, and we don't, we feel like it's something serious enough that
Sure.
we're not going to really give them as much help as they would get in a class or something like that. Like culinary, they'll definitely help with tests and things like that, but driver's ed, we look at it a little different. So you won't pay any fee or anything like that unless she passes, and then you decide if she's going to stay in there. So we'll kind of let you guys know that at the time, and then you would pay. I've been trying to ask what the fee is, but I think it's around $150 to stay in there if they pass the test. So, just to make everybody aware of all that. So
Yeah.
So that'll be her schedule for next year, and I think it'll be good, right? Yeah, she'll learn to cook for you at least. That'll be good, right?
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yep.
He's been needing a personal chef for a while.
She said you've been needing a personal chef for a while. We all could use a personal chef.
Yeah.
My kids would also like me to have a personal chef. So I'd stop cooking for them. So that's all I have, I think, unless you have any questions for me. Do you have any concerns about school?
I don't.
I know you.
I know that, well, when we did that testing with, at the other place, the one lady had mentioned, and I'm not sure, she described it a little bit, but she was talking about touch math. I don't know, where I don't know if that's something that Clara's already seen or has used,
Have you used that
or if
before?
that's something you do.
Okay, so we can do that. I have other students in class that use that. So it's basically just envisioning the dots on the math, so they count it up that way almost instead of,
Right.
yeah. So we can definitely expose her to that. Some students come in already knowing that, and that's how they've learned to do it. So I just kind of let them do it their way. But yeah, that might be good for her.
I was going to say, and I don't know if that'll help anything there or not, but they suggested it
Okay,
as part of that testing.
absolutely.
No, and I don't have anything else. I'm going through a lot of the stuff you sent, and in fact, I think was there a fair coming up at Swick?
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been at the Granite City campus.
Oh, was it at the Granite City campus?
One that I looked was.
I can look really quick on the SWIC website. Was it for careers?
It
or-
was for transition, a transition fair. Yeah.
Fair. Let's see.
Let me see if I have it in my email.
Calendar. Sorry, it said 2023, so obviously that's
It's 2024.
from last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah, I think that's it.
I don't know if I have that email handy or not.
Is
Dead
it for
look.
transition planning?
Dead.
I think it was. Yes.
It was. It looked wonderful actually, but
Oh, I can't find it on a quick search.
oh, here I have it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I gotta.
You're okay.
I'm realizing I didn't. It doesn't look like I put it in as a link, but. Sorry, this video is going to be really entertaining. This is going to be. Okay. No, it's
I
in
didn't know that.
Belleville. It is in Belleville,
Okay,
and it's in the main gym on April 18th.
April 18th. Let me write that.
Okay, April 18th from 4 to 7 p.m.
What does it say?
And I think
Clara.
students are actually off the next day.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, so it's going to talk about guardianship, housing. Yeah, these are that's why I always send that transition newsletter checklist
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
because a lot of people think their child is so young still, but it's really stuff that you need to get her name on some of these lists early on,
Right.
just for employment, transition, things like that. And definitely the guardianship thing will be important before she turns 18 to have in place.
Right.
So
Before I turn what?
yeah, before you turn 18. We know you have a while.
I would have been here at 18.
I know. But yeah, that would be a great thing, I think, to go to. I think it looks
Yeah, I
great.
want to check that out.
Yeah. And I'll probably send that out again closer to that date. I know it's well in advance now, but
Okay.
yeah. Since it's not till
All right.
April.
the report that you provided us, some of that information will be helpful for when you apply for guardianship, just because depending on the Department of Services, the representatives, sometimes they're looking for certain numbers to match up for eligibility. So I don't know all the details of that. I just know that the information that you provided to us, that will also be important and relevant to share with them too. And it'll get here sooner than you think. I mean, she's already 16 and a half, so about a year from now, like, it's going to be here pretty soon.
Crazy.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else you wanted to talk about, Dad?
Not that I can think of right at the moment. No.
You have to think of something because it's obvious.
Well, has she been staying off her phone?
Yes. So this week's
Okay,
been,
good.
I have not seen it at all this week. So she is really doing well with that. So I appreciate you keeping it at home for that little bit. I think that helped to, break that cycle a little bit. But
Okay. Good.
yeah, it's been good. Have you
been
been
a lot.
even using it in the cafeteria? Anything?
No.
Nothing? Okay. So she's doing really well with it.
All
Only
right.
talking
Good.
to friends like Alec and
And then-
Benji and Jerry, but Robin, on the other hand, sounds really mean.
Okay. So just talking to them or talking to them on the phone?
Talking to them.
Oh, okay. Perfect. That's
Is
what we
it
want.
that I review the related services? Like, she takes the bus in the afternoon. Correct me if any of this is outdated. So I have that she takes supported transportation in PM only.
So
Yeah,
now we
she's-
just switched
She's
that.
doing morning as well.
Yeah, she's doing morning as well. We just switched that
Okay.
last week.
Okay, I will change that.
So and I
This is
think
from,
I think for next year's K2 page I did add that.
okay,
Um,
gotcha. And I'm just looking at this big database that Kim and I edit from like August when they first start.
Right.
So I just like to make sure it's updated. She'll take transportation both ways. This started last week, this week. Okay, AM and PM, AM and PM. Okay. And then she has group with Miss Gray, 120 minutes a month.
Mhm.
And it says that she is slated to take the practice SAT for April 2024. And she does qualify, or she's approved for the screen reader accommodations. So that will be later this semester. And depending on how that goes, Ms. Kraft, I might check in with you on how that goes on. It's too late to like make any changes this year just because it has to go through the college board, but maybe we'll gauge on how that goes this year and then see if
right.
the DLM might be a better fit.
Yeah, and we
her.
talked a little bit about that last year. So the PSAT is her taking the, what every other general education student takes in order to get in college usually, right? Those standardized tests.
Right.
And she was scheduled to take that here. We offer something else called a DLM, and that's what we're going to talk about for next year, is where we literally pull the student up and run through the whole test together with them, as opposed to them sitting in a room with a bunch of other students and just having it
Right.
read to them. So, it's just something to think about for next year that we may want to switch her to
Yeah.
that DLM. If it's stressful for her at all to take the PSAT, I don't know if she even mentioned it last year.
I don't think she did.
No. And she's kind of right on that cusp too of like, I'm imagining her taking the DLM, and I think it might be like way too slow for her. I haven't sat and observed it in many, many years, but so it could be different now. I'm just imagining that might be way too slow for her. PSAT might be too challenging. So she definitely has some good strengths. But I'm just trying to imagine what would be the best fit for her that day. So let's see.
Well, so
what
that's
else.
something you guys can talk about. The testing is in April, and then
Yeah.
I'll let everybody know when that testing is. We only have maybe less than half of our students that take that PSAT. Most take the DLM.
Okay.
So you could just talk about what she thought of it after it's done, and was it stressful to sit in there and take that test, and
Okay.
how she felt about it, and then you can decide.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. So we went over the accommodations, and thanks for sharing about the transition planning event. And then the only other thing I wanted to talk about, I stepped into her art class earlier today just because I did get that report, and I wanted to kind of like just put a face to a name because I'd only seen her on paper, and I wanted to see what Clara looked like in the classroom. So I know this might be a little bit hard to hear, Clara, but I did want to share this. So I don't know if you saw me in your art class earlier.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And I think I was in a class, Miss Kraft's classroom earlier this semester, but I don't know. I just sat and observed you for a couple minutes, and I did see kind of some of the same things that Miss Pelker had shared, um, and I think Miss Gray shared too about being social and talkative, but then like kind of shutting down when they ask you direct questions. But also, I think I was just a little bothered with the way you treated Miss Bellini. Um, you just kind of snapped at her out of turn pretty quickly there, and I was a little surprised to see how you treated her. So I guess I'm just asking that maybe you can think about the way you talk to Miss Bellini, okay? So she is super helpful, and she is a very patient woman, and I just really hope you treat her with the same respect that you treat all your teachers at school, okay? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to bring that up, and I know that maybe you were just having a tough moment there, but then hopefully we can just like move a little slower and think about that, okay?
Okay. Just think of Miss
All right.
Lady's feelings a little bit in there.
Oh, sorry. I
Okay.
got somebody at my door
Thank
here.
you.
Oh,
Okay.
you're okay. No worries if you have to turn off your camera or turn off your audio or something. But other than that,
Dad, don't leave.
I think we
Please
covered
don't
everything.
leave.
So
Whoever's at your door, ignore.
the plan will be effective for 1 calendar year from today. And then we'll talk about any
Thank you.
updates this time next year
Don't
when
hit
she's
your head
a
on the
junior.
video.
And Miss
I
Kraft will
would
keep you
never hit
updated.
my head on anything but my hand and stuff.
Driver's ed or changes
Right.
in her schedule and things like that.
Dad, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So just contact me anytime if you think of anything else or any questions. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I will send this via email. I'll send it. I'm gonna make sure Dad, I have your email. And then Ms. Press, do you have Mom's email so I can share it with her too?
I'll just send it to you. I'll email it to you. Is that okay?
Oh, okay, perfect. And then I will copy Ms. Kraft on the email that goes to both Mom and Dad.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you very
Great,
much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Okay. All good.